Absolutely.
I'll be removing a lot of wood in this lovely smelling cedar of Lebanon, so I might as well use a screw chuck, so I'll just drill a pilot hole. As I have a few chucks with different diameter jaws, I've made plywood templates to suit, and here I'm using one of them. I've decided to make a dovetail recess for the simple reason that I'll be mounting and remounting the bowl base quite a few times, and there's one thing about a recess, it's easier to maintain concentricity using it. Now I've established the curve that I like, I'm now going to use a shear scraping action to do the final finish on the curve. It's essential that you maintain the cut, try not to come off and then have to re-establish the cut again. It does leave marks, so if you can do it in one swoop, the more the better. I prefer using a multi-tool to do my final sanding, especially on large areas. I don't have to keep buying specialised circular abrasives to suit a rotary abrasive tool. I can just slap the abranet onto it and just go through the grits. I usually go to 180 grit using the abrasives and then revert to the Yorkshire grit to do the rest of it. It leaves a nice tone to the wood. It's almost like a polish, and I use sanding sealer and melamine to finish. To save time, I've drilled a recess using a Forstner bit off camera. You'll notice that during the next procedure, I keep checking the wood as they go together, just to keep reassuring myself that I have enough wood left for the sample insert to go through without leaving a hole in the bottom of the bowl. I always do this, even though I know the actual dimensions and done a drawing. I still like to reassure myself as I progress. I'm afraid I'm not clever enough to pre-plan the whole procedure item by item. I always like to take things very cautiously, especially when I'm doing prototypes. If you assume anything in woodworking or anything really, something's bound to go wrong. So I'm constantly reassuring myself through the whole process. If you notice the change in cutting noise, that's because I was going downhill on the bowl base, which tends to tear the grain a lot more and is more savage. It's okay though, because doing the final cut, I'll be going upwards towards the circumference. Boy, this Wenge is very hard and very brittle. When I'm parting off, I don't like to go right through the load. You can start feeling the pull of the tool towards the centre as you're going. So I'll have to revert to sawing it off for the rest of it. Here I'm just checking that I have enough meat to turn off to get a sweeping curve to the finished diameters that I want. I need to bore a hole right through this Wenge, but I can't do it because the jaws are in the way, so I'm having to bore from one side first and then reverse it and bore the other side and make the two match up without any distinguishable line. With this Wenge, I've had to make quite a few trips to the to resharpen my gouge. It doesn't half blunt it quickly. Because the Wenge is quite hard, I thought, well, maybe I can get a fine thread on it, and it seems to have worked. I've used I think it is an M3 tap for the hole, and it seems to have worked. It's hard to see whether the thread is a perfect form because it's so small you can't see inside, but it seems to work. With this hope boring tool, I use the very fine carbide tip cutter, circular cutter, which is quite savage and it doesn't half remove wood quickly. And I use the scrapers to finish off. And I remembered I had another boring tool to fit into this hope jig with a much bigger diameter carbide tip, but I forgot I had it. Never mind. The Wenge is very difficult to get a good finish straight from the tool, the gougers. So I've reverted to a heavy duty scraper which absorbs vibration a lot better. Wenge is prone to tearing grain, but the thing I've noticed is by the time I've used abrasives, the dust has filled the torn grain, and when I've finally done the finish with the Yorkshire grit, the finish is okay and I can't see any torn grain at all, so I'm quite happy with this timber. For the finial, I've used Cedar of Lebanon again. It's a nice timber to turn, and like I said previously, it's a gorgeous smell and lingers in the workshop. It's scented my workshop. I don't mind going into it now. As you can see, I'm just making a small recess so the finial can be glued concentric. Finials are deceptively difficult to do, just because of the intricacies involved, but the proportions especially when you're putting it on a larger project. So I allowed wood on the base of the finial, too much in fact, so that when I put it onto the bowl, it looked out of proportion, so I needed to part off again. Unfortunately, I hadn't left a facility for that, but I was able, by use of a spacer, to grip enough of it and yet give me space to put a parting tool. Now for a bit of copy turning. I'm doing 4 small finials to complement the big one in the centre. One of them will disguise the hinge, of which the lid rotates. You'll notice in the finial I've drilled a hole off camera, off centre, and the reason for that is that the lid needs to rotate, but the inside of it, when it's rotated, has to clear the bore so that I can place the sample insert into it. It doesn't restrict it, so I'm able to move and position the finial that's holding the hinge to make that clearance possible.
Go gun-ho like they both did in the first leg, or do you kind of say, okay, we just need to maybe sort of get to half time, don't concede. Apart from that, let's not get to that. First one's at home. Their crowds are going insane. They're going to make this attitude. Today, just kind of, just keep the time. Like, go for it. Consider.
I don't know if any of you woodturners have envied the American chuck, where you can change the jaws by just pressing a button. It's very easy. Well, Record Power have decided to impose themselves on that market by introducing the Versalock system, which I've invested in. It's not quite as fast, but it's a darn sight easier than replacing the jaws of the past. I've introduced a small magnet here to make placing the rotating lid more accurate. It doesn't quite line up, but it makes it a lot easier. You can just flip it and it comes somewhere near. And it also stops it from inadvertently rotating itself when you move the ball around. And here we have it, a hybrid lidded box for an atomised diffuser and also for a bowl, so you don't need to just use it for the diffuser, you can use it for something else. I hope it's appealed to you. I've enjoyed making it, and I hope it's attractive enough for it to be a feature in someone's hallway. All the best, thank you for watching, please subscribe and press the like button, and I'll catch you with my next project. All the best to you all, and take care.